and he was trying to starve them to death, by feeding them less than necessary to sustain life. Now, the other thing that's happened is 130 humanitarian and human rights organizations, including Oxfam, Save the Children, Amnesty International, have jointly demanded an immediate dismantling of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Now, that you'd have to wonder why anybody would want to dismantle that until you realize it was created by Israel and the United States to feed the Palestinians by throwing out all the UN and NGOs that were actually doing the feeding.
Yeah.
So they replaced 400 community-based food distribution points with 4 heavily secured distribution zones. And you'll recall that they were killing them in line between the fences when they first opened these. So they can continue to starve the people who are now living in 1/3 of the land that they would have had just 3 years ago. And where are the sanctions? We've got sanctions against Cuba. What did the Cubans ever do? And look at the sanctions they keep calling and piling on Russia. What did Russia's not running, starvation camps. Russia's not, calling for the murder of so many people a day. It's insane. Nobody's even speaking up and saying, geez, this isn't good. Maybe, even if it weren't true, if it was a wish list that you had, you shouldn't be wishing for these types of things. And to think that anti-Semitism is becoming, rampant. Look what you're doing. It's I don't know.
Well, good
It's
news.
anti-Zionism.
Good news. The Israelis attacked Iran, and now the payback happened on the USS Lincoln and other military ships in the region. They have a lack of food, and their members are starving, losing weight, complaining to members at home. And there's been a big row with the conditions on these warships of the United States because Trump don't care about their health. And they're basically getting bare minimum rations on these ships. And Admiral Brad Cooper visited the USS Lincoln the other day, as reports have emerged of mental health and supply issues. And he just went there to put on a show to say, oh yeah, after hundreds of days at sea, you should expect some, interruption in food supply. But I guess the conditions are pathetic on this U.S. Navy's blockade flotilla. So I think, what goes around comes around. If you're going to starve people in Gaza, you're not going to get much sympathy when you're starving your own military intentionally. I mean, Trump does not like military. He's a 5-time bone spur avoiding military enlistment. He's not going to be the guy to make sure you got enough food and water and toiletry. I mean, he won't even supply feminine hygiene to the female sailors. I mean, they have such disregard for women. It shows in that they will not even supply that to the military. And that should say it all, folks. When you have a government that won't help out the women recruits and military members with personal hygiene, you know exactly what they think of women. And you see it in the Republican Terrorist Party, how they disregard women and women's rights. And this is just the epitome of it on the flotilla that's trying to block the Strait of Hormuz.
Subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and please share the video. Don't be afraid to share this commercial with your friends too.